All right, and we are on.
All right.
So, hey everybody, hoping everyone's having a fabulous Wednesday. Wednesday hump day, right in the middle, let's do it. So, I'm really excited for you guys to get to meet, if you don't already know him, Steve Karo. He is a member of our mastermind group and he's just pretty much killing it right now. And so I wanted to bring him on to talk about like he's done his first couple deals. He knocked them out really quick in this past month. And so Steve, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Steve, tell us a little bit about you, where you live, and let's just get this party started.
Sure. All right. So I live in Florida, Punta Gorda, Florida, and moved here in September from Wisconsin. So it's been a very pleasant winter so far.
Oh, yeah, good.
Much different. I'm a physician assistant by trade, and I've been a PA for 33 years now. And uh, some investing of properties and things over the years, but nothing consistent until now.
Okay. All right. So, how long have you been in the passive income real estate group?
So, well, you guys started this group like in early November, late October. So I kind of have been there from the beginning, if
Okay.
around
Yeah, it was
that
actually
time.
it was like late November when we started bringing people in. So you must have been
Yeah, it
like
was right at
Jason
the
Ake,
beginning.
OG.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I can remember your comments like really early on, and you, yeah. So, all right. So you've been in it for like the whole time.
Right.
All three
Well,
months that we've been in
it was
existence.
it was pretty interesting too because I had been super interested in investing in rental properties. My nephew had been doing it for a couple of years, and I was kind of bugging him to get me involved in his deals, and we never really did anything because the market kind of got a little tighter where he was doing his deals. And then as and I did some investigating into the wholesaling and all that, and that didn't really interest me. Um, but then all of a sudden, your passive income group came up, and it was like, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and it just kind of flew from there. So,
That's awesome. I love it. Well, so Steve, just so tell us a little bit about like, well, what was your prior investing experience? So what had you done in the past when you started?
so I had mostly invested in hunting properties basically, and I
Okay.
had bought some, doubled my income on a couple of, doubled my investment on a couple of them, and I thought I was pro at it, but it was small amounts of money, 40-acre pieces that weren't going for huge amounts of money, um, it was mostly I was buying them to hunt, and then I sold them for profit and bought another one. Um,
Nice.
and I've had, quite a few houses and I've rehabbed some, but I didn't buy them as rehab and flips. I bought them to live in and then go on to the next house. So it wasn't really an investment, so to speak. Um, I had one time I had two houses and I was renting one, but that was because I couldn't get it sold because the market crashed at that point. So officially haven't really been in the passive income market until just now. So
Okay. No, so you've just closed on 3 units in the last, I'd say the last month, but it's even in the last couple of weeks.
yeah, so that was probably 2 weeks ago. I closed on my first one, and that actually wasn't the first one I put an offer on. It just closed really quickly because it was a cash deal that I had to jump in on, and that that turned out to be a really good deal. But again, it was one of those that I was in the right place at the right time, and it just so happened I called the realtor at the right day. Um,
Well, tell us a little bit more about that because that's actually a really interesting transaction
yeah.
because of how unique it was. So I tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So I got into I was looking at a bunch of different markets just because I went through your program, and Indianapolis happened to be one of them that looked decent. And I had contacted some realtors, and I actually had got an offer on a single family that had a rental that was already producing, and the guy had rehabbed it and everything. And so I already had that contract done. And then this realtor that I'd contacted, that actually you had interviewed her, said, well, there's this one property, and this was in Indianapolis also, and it's a duplex, and this guy had a partner that backed out, and so it's part of this package deal, and if this one doesn't close, none of them will close, and so they're kind of desperate, and here's what you could get it for. And it turned into just a fantastic deal. Fortunately, I had the ability to tap into some money to be able to purchase it cash, and I closed within a week. And the nice
That's
thing about
amazing.
it, I got the inspection period done. I got everything done super fast, and it was like an accelerated learning process.
I remember being like, wait, what do you mean you're closing next week? I haven't heard about this deal. You're like, yeah, I just got it. Like a week. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit of like the numbers on that deal? What'd you buy it for? How much rents are you
Sure.
getting? Kind of
Yeah.
tell us about
So it already had tenants in both sides. Turns out it's the one tenant has a few kids. It's a 3-bedroom on each side, and
that.
one tenant has 3 kids or 4 kids, something like that, and then her brother is on the other side.
Oh,
So they're super stable and they love the
yeah.
place. And
They're not going
bought it
anywhere.
bought it for right. They're not going anywhere.
That's
Bought it for
great.
80,000. The rent is at 650 each side, so 1,300. And in Indianapolis, taxes are pretty inexpensive. The insurance was pretty inexpensive, and so I mean, it was cash flowing right out of the gate. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah.
That's exciting. So now with that property or with either of your properties that are in Indianapolis, you live in Florida now. So were you hopping on a plane so you could go fly there and touch
Absolutely not.
it and see it and all that good
Oh,
stuff?
all right, that's super interesting because I actually now have a contract on a property here in Florida also. And it is much less convenient to have the property close to home
Isn't
because
that funny?
you're tempted to go look all the time and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of your time. Whereas this, you've got your people on that side, doing your work for you. And if you have a question, I've got people that'll go out in an hour and go look at the property for me if there's a problem. And it's just super sweet. Honestly, it's way easier doing it remotely than it is locally. And people don't believe that, but it
I
is.
know. I agree. The one time I happened to be in Indianapolis because I was training someone. I was training someone one-on-one there who just happened to live there. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And I had like 10 rehabs going on or something at the time. I'm like, oh, I'll go meet my contractor in person. And one house, it was a flip, but one house had just gotten done and they were just in the process. They had even staged it. So I was like, oh, I'll go by and swing by. And I was like, oh, you know what? We really need a TV for the wall. Just the way that it was laid out. It was a really small house. I'm like, we really need like a flat screen to show them how it could lay out. And I'm like, oh, I could help with that because I'm here. So like an idiot, I'm like, oh yay, this is what it's like to invest in person, which I've never done. I've always done remote. And so here I am driving around. I had to do my training, and then it was late at night trying to find a Walmart that's open late enough so I could go buy this stupid TV and this mount. And then the one Walmart was closed, and I went to another one, and then it had just closed, and I was like, this is why I invest remotely. Well, mostly because the numbers don't work where I live, but I was just shown another reason it is really time consuming.
Yeah.
And you are tempted because I was like, well, I'm here. I can help go get a TV and I could bring it in. And 4 hours later of my time, which I could have been using that time to find another deal,
Right.
not go find a stupid $100 TV for the wall.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, so tell me, how did you, because I remember when you're going through it, you're telling us in the mastermind, like, how did you see the property? Like, how did that work?
So yeah, so the realtor that told me about the property I didn't even put the offer in until after I had viewed it with her on FaceTime. Which it didn't matter. The offer actually didn't matter because it was accepted because I already knew what the price was going to be and they were desperate. They needed it. And it wasn't like I was wheeling and dealing and trying to lower the price or anything. So we already knew it was going to be accepted. But yeah, I didn't even place the offer till after I'd seen it. But so she showed up at the front door, met the tenant, and there I am on FaceTime and going through all the different areas, showing me specific, the closets, the bathrooms, and all that. And it was like I was there. And if I had a question, I'd say, "Hey, what was that over there?" And she'd explain it, and it was really cool actually because it has built-ins and the woodwork's just awesome because it's an older house. And I was like, oh, this is a sweet walkthrough. So it wasn't any different than being there, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially, she's an experienced realtor and she knows what we're looking for, what I'm looking for. And so she kind of guided through the whole thing. It was really an easy process, actually. I kind of got spoiled. Now this last one's a little more complicated. So
that was the hook to reel you into real estate even more. Oh, it's so simple. It's so easy. They're all like this.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. It is complicated stuff.
Oh my gosh. So what else did you do as far as your due diligence? So you're in Florida. How did you know that the property was sound? Like, how do you know that the walls aren't falling down? Like,
So
what if she
I
didn't show
had
you a
it.
wall?
Yeah, I had it inspected, and they came out really quickly. That worked out well too.
Oh,
So
good.
that was part of the contingency on the purchase agreement. And the nice thing about that, I knew I wasn't going to back out of the deal unless there was some huge major structural thing.
Sure.
But the nice thing is I knew what needed to be taken care. In fact, tomorrow they're putting gutters on
Oh,
because the
okay.
gutters were bad, and it needed some work there, and that's going to help prevent basement leakage and all that stuff. So yeah, the inspection was super helpful for that. Now, had I not been had it been kind of one of those questionable deals, yeah, the inspection would have been am I really going to buy this or am I not? But in this case, it was more just seeing what I need to do once the tenants do move out, and seeing if there's any repairs that are needed now, which there really wasn't much other than the gutters. And I didn't have to do gutters, but it's a smart thing to do.
So you were able to, without going there, basically get eyes on the property from someone that is experienced,
Yep.
As a home inspector,
Yep.
and can basically tell you like, hey, if there's a concern, they're going to let you know. Well, and as a physician assistant, are you really going to walk the house in and know? I mean, maybe you have some contract background, but
No.
people say to me all the time, well, but you don't see it. I'm like, what the hell am I going to see? I don't know
Right.
if it's wrong. I mean, unless it looks really wrong, what do I know?
Exactly.
The professionals are for.
Yep.
And sometimes people are tempted when it's local, they're tempted to not do that to save the money because they could go see it themselves. But what are we looking at?
No,
Like,
and they
that's not what we
do. I
do.
mean, there's things like the electrical tests they do are very specific, and I wouldn't know how to do that. Plumbing, all those really important that can be expensive things, and you know what you're getting into now because the inspector went through it all, which I wouldn't have known what to do. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Way better. Yeah, and you always said don't do it without getting an inspection, and I completely 100% agree with that. Yeah, it costs $400, $500, $600 depending,
Right,
$700.
because it was a duplex, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's more expensive.
But still, it's worth the money, even if you end up not buying the place, and you saved yourself thousands by spending $400, $500, $600. So yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, the two times in my life that I made the exception that I was like, I really think I can get away with not getting the inspection, which is why my advice was don't skip it no matter what, is
Yeah.
it cost me over $30,000. Oh, cool. I saved 2 inspections at $400 a piece. I saved $800. I got to spend 30,000.
I,
And it's not like I was new. So there was really no reason for me to have made that error. But I was like, I just don't see what is he going to inspect. I already know I'm rehabbing the whole thing. Oh.
Okay, great point. So that brings up the other property that I bought, which actually was rehabbed. And I mean, the guy's a great guy. I've gotten to know him extremely well now over the past whole 3 weeks that I've known him. But he's actually doing the gutters on my other place.
I was going to ask you because I met him because he was my roofer for one of my properties. He put a new roof on my duplex. That's how I met him.
Yep.
That's so funny.
And so he's doing my gutters, but he rehabbed the house that I bought, and that one just closed last week. And I actually got my first rent check today, by the way. First ever rent check today. Yep. From that house. Yeah.
So it's already rented?
Yeah, that was rented right as I signed the purchase agreement that day. It got rented, and Bill was like, you get all of February's rent, it'll be fine. Even though I closed on the 26th of February, he gave me the whole month's rent. So he's a good guy.
I somehow missed that and all that. I haven't looked at the closing statement you sent me. It probably has the rent on there and I didn't notice.
No, that rent wasn't even on there. It
wasn't? Okay.
I just got it in my account today, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, where was I going with that?
Okay, so the seller of that house. So you're telling us about the seller. So the seller, he is the one who ended up putting the gutters on your duplex.
Right. And so, I know what I was going to say. I still got that house inspected, even though it was fully rehabbed, and there was an electrical. There was some aluminum wires that needed to be fixed, which Bill fixed them before closing and everything. But that's really the only thing that got highlighted on that, and a couple little minuscule things. But I still did the home inspection there, even though that had been fully rehabbed. So
Yeah. And do you see like because I remember you and I were having that conversation. You're like, is it really necessary? It's already rehab. So what's the point? And I'm like, yeah, but what we don't know is we don't know if everything was done correctly. Like there's no way for you to control that. And even with a contractor who is intending to do everything right, sometimes they're busy and they're not going back and checking at the level of detail that an inspector will.
right.
And now you had the leverage before you close, because once you close and you go back to someone, they're obviously, if they have integrity, they're going to fix it. But if not, you have no leverage. Your leverage is before you close.
By the way, the other advantage of this house is I have a 1-year warranty. He'll do all maintenance if anything goes wrong. Plus, it's a brand new roof. Of course, he's a roofer. So, I mean, that house is
right.
I have nothing to worry about right now with that place. And so, anyway.
That is awesome. And just to give you guys some background, so there's a guy named Bill who I have rental properties in Indianapolis, and one of my rental properties needed a new roof. And my roofer, who's done all my roofs, just had some kind of personal issue happen. He wasn't available. So I went back to Thumbtack, started like going through, and I found Bill from City Circle Roofing, I think it was called. And, he ended up doing a roof. Then he ended up helping me with one of my other rental properties that had some like mystery repairs. And just through us conversing about repairs and stuff, I found out that he, a couple times a year, will buy a fixer-upper, fix it up, and then sell it as a performing rental property. And so when he had one, and I said, well, I'll throw it on our Facebook group, and try to, if there's someone that's interested, I'll put you in contact with. And so Steve was like, hey, I'd be interested in looking at it. And so now Steve bought Bill's house. It's great.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was rented. So that's even better. So you are officially now receiving passive cash flow.
Correct. Yeah.
It's so magical. This is like my favorite time of the month, because for the first couple days of the month in my email, I'll get, oh, you have a Venmo. Oh, you have a PayPal. Oh, someone deposited money strict in your account. Oh, you have a Chase Pay. Oh, you have a Zelle. So this is my favorite time of month where I can look in my one email account. It has all the notifications and I'm like, yay. It's my favorite. Yep. I don't have to do anything. It just comes in. But all the work it took, all the learning, all the calls you've made, all the analysis you've done, like you've done work to get to that point.
Yeah.
But now you get to benefit.
Okay, so those 2 deals actually went super smoothly, though. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better first 2 deals.
Oh yeah, so let's hear about deal number 3.
Then comes deal number 3. So this one actually, a guy had approached me about this property like a year ago, and because it's not like I just yesterday decided, oh, I'm going to start looking for rentals.
Right, you've been interested in a while, yeah.
And this guy actually, he does some wholesaling, but he's also a contractor. I mean, he's kind of a jack of all trades. And he had this one house that he was going to wholesale, and I was going to fix and flip it. And he was going to do my rehab for me. And this was before the passive income thing. And I would have made about 40 grand on that deal. But the owner just went weird as we were in the middle of the process. I mean, I didn't even officially get the contract to her before she said, nope, I don't want to do that. I can get more money, if I just sell it. And so anyway, that's how I met this guy. And he goes, oh, by the way, there's these 2, well, he called it a quad, but it actually is 2 duplexes in Englewood. And, you may be interested in that. And at the time that was going for $460,000. And I was like, I ran the numbers. It's like, it cash flows, but it's not great. And at $460,000, I would want a pretty good cash flow to be able to validate spending that kind of money. And so that just sat there for a while. It actually went on the market for about 6 months. And then he talked them into firing the realtors and everything and going back with him. And so I was like, so then he calls me and goes, all right, I think I got him down to 430, maybe we can get it to 420. I said, well, if you can get it to 420, I'm definitely interested. And then I ran the numbers at 430 and they worked great. And he said, this guy's not going for it. And so 430 is the number. I said, all right, let's do it. So
I didn't know all that background.
Yep, I know. I didn't tell you that whole story.
This is cool.
That kind of time to talk.
I know. We're just all about like the numbers. Let's hit the numbers. Right.
So yeah, then they signed the contract. We got it going and getting financing and everything's going great. This, The guy that's doing my financing on my other places is like, oh yeah, we can do this, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, whoa, wait a minute. There's two separate duplexes. They're not connected and they're on one lot. And so that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you can't have a conventional loan because of that reason. If they were connected, it would have been fine. If they were on two separate lots, it would have been fine. But because the guy built a pool in between them, he combined the lots, it doesn't conform for a Fannie Mac or Freddie
Fannie
Mac.
Mae, Freddie Mac.
Yeah, mix them up.
Fannie Freddie.
Fannie Mac, there. Hey, it's a new name. So then I'm scrambling saying, okay, now what do we do? Well, you can find hard money lenders easily to do it. And so I'm talking to all these people, but the interest rates go up. It's not as sweet of a deal. So I have to look at the numbers and all that. I did get it inspected and, the inspection went well. It's got a fairly new roof on both units, also new ACs, and like that. So structurally that one's good. So the deal didn't fall through with that. But I'm still in the process of figuring out which financing I'm going to go with on that one. There's a couple of interesting new deals. It's amazing the options that are out there. But now I'm in the commercial zone instead of being in the conventional loan. So rates are a little higher. I got a 6.5 rate that I probably will end up going with 2 points, that's not so bad. So, but I still haven't committed yet as to which direction I'm going. Financing.
Gotcha. And this is the one that we were talking. I think this is great just because it'll give people like some ways to start thinking potentially outside the box. But you had said that you had potentially found a lender in Texas, but they would only finance 60% of it, which means you need a 40% down payment.
Correct, but that's a 3.75 loan. And actually, with me coming up with 20% down payment, I could probably find a hard money lender to lend the other 20%, and still go with that 3.75. I mean, there's a
hard money won't do second.
Oh, they won't do second. Okay, so that was
no. You'd have to find like a private, like a person.
Private, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to share with everyone what we were talking about yesterday because I love creative financing. I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do it lately, but it's so fun. So I'll just kind of tell you guys what I was sharing with Steve I asked Steve, like, well, what's the seller's, like, what's the deal? What's the deal with the seller? And well, why don't you kind of explain that? Because that was really interesting.
It's an older guy, he's 70, and he's a little tired of being a landlord, but yet he likes the passive income. He's like, why would I sell this place? It's making me money. Why sell it? But his wife's sick and fairly significantly ill, and she wants him to sell it. So that's kind of his motivation for selling. So then, Stacy, you said, well, maybe he'll finance that 40%. And I contacted the realtor guy who's dealing with him. He's like, no, this guy's on edge. You do not want to try something like that. But it's a great idea. And I did ask the question, but so I have to just get more creative. But again, I'm with you on the creative thing because I have now talked to more lenders and found so many different deals that are out there. And each time you talk to one, you get 4 other options. And it's just amazing what's available.
It really is. And what I was saying to say, it sounds like it's not an option, but what I was saying so that you guys know, like, what your options are out there potentially. If you know the motivation of the seller, sometimes you can structure something that's a win-win. So what we were talking about yesterday before it was a no. And frankly, I wish that you could talk to the seller directly so that you could actually gauge. You did? Oh no, yeah,
I wish I could.
wish you could too, but it is what it is. That's someone in between. But what I was telling Steve is because of the situation with the seller he likes the passive cash flow. That's the reason he doesn't want to sell, but he's basically being made to sell because his wife, happy life, right? So he's being made to sell it, but he likes the passive cash flow. So what I was telling Steve is see if he'd be willing to carry the 40%, or some portion of it, and basically continue to get a passive income stream. You could pay him 6% or whatever. And the other benefit of that, just so people know, if you don't know this already, is when that seller sells, like it really stinks, Steve, that you can't talk to him, because for you to have the ability to convey all of the pieces, sellers don't necessarily know about taxes,
right,
and all the implications. But this seller, when he sells it, he's not doing a 1031 exchange because his wife's basically making him get rid of it so that he can probably not have that distraction in her eyes. And so he's going to pay full capital gains on it. And for however long he's owned it, he's going to have depreciation recapture. Like it's going to kick him in the butt financially to sell it. And so what I was telling Steve is if you can talk to him or convey to him, if he'll do some seller financing, he will defer the taxes on the part of the sale that he hasn't been paid for yet. It's actual a tax strategy. So if someone doesn't actually need the cash, just that's a thing that's out there, is find out, like, if they don't need the cash, would they like the cash flow, and let them know, hey, there's a tax benefit in that you can spread out the taxes. You only pay tax for whatever Steve paid, the 60% he would get taxed on, and then whatever he paid this year. But the other rest of the 40% that he doesn't pay till future years, the guy wouldn't pay taxes on it until he collected it. So anyway, it sounds like it's a non-starter, but now for the future too, Steve, to always ask. You never know.
Right. And I like that. I mean, that 3.75 loan is tempting, but
yeah,
40% have to come up with on a bigger loan like that.
Yeah. Well, and the other possibility too is, well, I mean, I don't know if you want to really partner, if you can come up with another way to do it, but
Right.
but the other options are, bringing in a partner who, like, they want passive cash flow, they don't have time, like they just do not have time, but they'll come in with the 40% down, and you both benefit from the 3.75. Right. And so that's a possibility. And the other is getting an 80% loan, and then getting a private lender at the 20%. So you have a few things, but what you're finding is that this particular deal is not so easy compared to the other ones.
It's not the easy slam dunk that the other two were.
Yeah, you got spoiled. Hey, you know what? Some deals are fairly straightforward, and other deals are, well, most deals are like this, frankly, where they give you all sorts of ups and downs. And I remember Jennifer posted a picture from like 4 years ago, and we were closing and it was this: the deal is alive, the deal is dead, the deal is alive, the deal is dead. And that's, financing is a big reason for that. It's oftentimes the appraisal doesn't come in, or the financing doesn't come through the way that we thought, and you got to get creative. So you're in the thick of it.
Yep.
Truly in the thick of it. Well, cool. Well, Steve, what would you say are some of the biggest learning experiences you've had out of these few transactions?
Honestly, I have to say, what you've helped me with has been unbelievable. Your free trainings that you do on the Facebook site are unreal. I mean, that's so nice. And then your 14-day challenge, that just gets things kickstarted.
That's right. I forgot you took that.
And the Mastermind just kind of builds on that. And I mean, you can't even put a price tag on it, honestly. We'll see over the years what it's worth, but right now it really helped me make these deals happen. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have even discovered the first two of them. But with the problems that have kind of cropped up in this third deal, I've got the tools, and so it isn't that difficult, even though you run into difficulties. It sounds like it, but they're all solvable. And so it just is being creative, and it's kind of fun, actually. So anyway.
It's especially fun if you don't have to do it.
Yeah, right. True. Good point. But your system is essential, and the training has been unreal and so helpful. And you've got people at all different levels. You got people that are just starting to know nothing. I'm not saying I'm experienced by any stretch of the imagination, but I had a little bit of experience because I did some other trainings and some other real estate things, but not like this. But it's interesting to see other people's struggles too that are in the Mastermind, and you just want to say, "Oh, come on, just do this," or Stacy already told you, do that, And so it's unreal how helpful that is. So yeah.
Well, good. Well, I've always said, like, and even when I was speaking, and I'd say this to 500 people at a time on a stage, and like, look, I know we're here for real estate investing, and you get paid for real estate, but let me tell you what you really get paid for. You are a highly paid problem solver.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And highly paid project manager. That is the real. We're not really paid for the real estate. We're paid for the ability to go out and make things happen, project manage multiple people, realtors, title companies, lenders, inspectors, the sellers, contractors when you do rehab, and to solve problems when they come up. And if you don't solve the problem, you don't get paid. So really, it is your ability to solve the problem that makes it, like, you solved the problem of somebody that was their whole deal was going to fall apart. So you
Right.
came in, you figured out, let me pull the cash together. What do I got to do? Let me get the inspector. Let me look at the leases. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Close.
Yeah.
And now this one, if you're going to get paid on it, it's going to, you're going to jump through more hoops, which makes you grow.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the benefit of it, which
The learning
nobody can
from
take that
it,
away from you.
the learning from it pays for any, I haven't made any major mistakes yet, but just the minor ones are learning experiences. So hopefully I don't make any major ones.
Well, is there anything so far that you've done that you would do differently in hindsight?
Yeah, I would have never done my wholesaling educational stuff that I did last year. Because it was a total waste of money and time.
Yeah, well, but you know what you got out of that is some experience and some knowledge.
Yeah.
That probably helped to lay a foundation for this to be a little bit easier for you.
It did. It made it easier to research. I know how to look up properties, and you're right. There's always something you can get out of it. And so I wasted a little money. Oh well.
Hey, it's all an investment in your knowledge, whether you use the knowledge or not. I mean, I have a degree, I have a CPA license and a 4-year accounting degree. What the hell am I using it for? Nothing. But I mean, am I going to say it was a waste of time? Well, actually, yes. But everything plays a part in who we are and where we come to the table. So it's all part of the journey.
Yep, definitely.
Well, cool. Well, Steve, it's been a pleasure. So congratulations on your 3 units, and let's just put it out in the universe that you're going to pull together those 4 units, and you will be 7 units.
Yep, absolutely.
Up and running.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you for coming and spending the time and sharing with everyone. And well, I'll see you next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Thank you, Stacy.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.